Hello, we're back. Since the last video, I think the hype got me so hype, I got sick from it. Can I show my desk? Can my face cam? Can I make editing shows? Like, look, there's so much pills on my freaking desk of things I'm trying. This cold has been kicking my freaking ass. You want to find out for if people care about my videos? Stick around and listen to this before I get into everything. So, yeah, it was just like massive head congestion. My eyes were getting red. I think it's starting to not be as insufferable, but I haven't been able to sleep for more than like 3 hours in 4 days, so I'm very, very exhausted. Been down in Gatorade. I don't know what's going on. I can't imagine the hype has broken me this hardcore for this game. But Jeff Faviano, or as I call him, Jeff Faviano, he got his hands on the new NASCAR 25 game, and he got to play it, and he's hype about it. Now, whether that's in my Discord group or other Discord groups that I'm in, the only one I'm only in two major groups. Some were saying, "Oh, he's a shill. He's just shilling it," but Jeff Fabiano's never really been like that. If there's ever a game he just doesn't like to play, like Heat 5 or Ignition, he just doesn't come back to it. So I feel like what he's saying here and him hyping it up this much, and I think somewhere in this thread he was talking about making a like video series, like an actual career mode. So that alone is really, really exciting. I don't know where, but he left some comments here. He also said the game plays in 60 frames per second, which is good. I didn't even know it was even going to be that, to be honest. I thought it was maybe going to be at least 30. He also said he got the feel of driving out the right rear, which is something that's been missing in so many titles. These cars have weight, and even on a controller, you have to go easy on the triggers to set the car in the corners. I plotted my first lap, and it made me grin, haha. So, again, big props to him replying to people in the comments and just being able to be honest and open about his experience with the game in the chat here, or Twitter, or the X thread, whatever you want to call it anymore. I'm too old for this shit. But yeah, it sounds really good, and just based on the dev diary, just the way the cars were interacting with just either the apron or just the weight, it genuinely felt like what Gregson's comments about it being like inside line to be kind of true. And that's exciting to hear, because I loved I was about to say Ignition. Inside line, they both start with I, so maybe that's where I got it confused. Ignition's driving while isn't honestly that bad either, but just everything else was horrible. But if it sounds more like inside line, then I'm kind of hyped for that. So this again gives me more excitement for it. I'm really amazed, especially it coming from a credible, respected, reputable person as Jeff Faviano. I've always enjoyed his videos. He's not really made NASCAR videos in a long time, just because I don't think there's really been one side. I don't think he's been motivated to play, but he got access to this and got to play it. I think Iceberg also made a video talking about it. So we kind of got like two people on the spectrum of Jeff Faviano's like an experienced racer, playing racing games of different kinds. Iceberg's more of a casual. So we kind of have like two ends of the spectrum, both being pleased by what they have felt from the game itself. So that's good. From the driving aspect, it sounds like it's about everything I honestly could have ever imagined, if not more. So I will eat my words. My socks, this sock, it's coming off a little bit. Like, it's partially, you got my socks partially off. All right? iRacing, you got them partially off a little bit. They're not blown off yet, but they're getting loose. So yeah, from the driving aspect, it all sounds good. The only thing I'm worried about is just maybe the AI, like just basic pit logic, because I guess Heat Evolution 2, just for context, if you had it like 25% with 4 times the wear, if you ran like a race at Daytona, they would pit like 4 or 5 laps earlier than they're supposed to. So it really just destroys their pit strategy, especially if a race goes long, to where if a race you only need to pit 3 times, the AI will pit 4 or 5 times. So it just automatically makes you win just because they pit too early. And that's really annoying, especially when you factor in like stages. That's another element. You don't want it to be like Ignition, where the AI only pit when they're almost out of fuel. So then therefore, they don't pit. Like if you were to do like a 25% race or something on ignition, they won't pit the first stage, and you have the common sense to pit, but then somewhere in the middle of stage 2 they'll pit, and then you'll be just like a lap ahead of them, and it just breaks the entire flow of the race because they don't have any type of pit logic. Like, I want there to be decent pit logic, and I feel like with stages that kind of makes it tough, but again, that's just another element I'm not going to be able to really feel until you actually play the game and experience that. So I'm hoping at least on 25%, because that's kind of my ideal race length with 4 times wear. That's kind of my favorite race percentage for like career mode or live streams, or, well, not really live streams, but just for semi-long races. That's kind of like what I expect. And Heat 5 was good with that, with the pit logic generally being pretty good. Same with Heat 4 and Heat 3. I don't remember it being much in Heat. I don't really remember running 25% races in Heat 2, but that's another element to kind of think of. He says it's a new feel for the driving model, so it's probably not even going to feel like Inside Line, but maybe a like hint of it or a vibe of it. I don't know. But he said he had on default settings on assist with a controller, and it felt like a SimK to me, which is the perfect balance for the general user base. They said the assist off is pretty damn good. Get a curb under power. So that's, I don't know if the Gen 7 cars can do all that. I'm very curious of the differences between, like, because for me, and this is going to sound stupid, but I'm more excited for the Xfinity cars than the actual Cup cars, just because the Xfinity cars drive really freaking good like everywhere. So I'm really curious if the Xfinity cars are going to drive harder than a Gen 7, or how big is that nuance going to be. And again, I don't know if I'm asking for too much in a first year game to have that much like little nuances to it. So I might be asking for too much there. I don't know. Just for the game to function on a basic level, and like the AI have normal pit strategy and no ping ponging. I don't want to see freaking ping pong. So there's like a couple concerns. It's hard to be 100% hype. I'm like 85% hype, really. But it sounds good, and I really appreciate him coming into like the tweets here and replying to people and just honestly being honest. I mean, we got Frozen Toes here, which is another content creator, or mainly one that's used to streaming like Heat 5 and stuff on Twitch. I remember seeing some of the streams, but even they are saying that they're getting pumped. So yeah, it honestly all sounds really positive. Again, this is coming from someone reputable, not from a shady Motorsport Games thing where they done shady stuff like 20 years prior, and it's not a surprise that it's something shady now. Like, it's coming from a credible source, so I should expect it to be, good in that aspect. So just seeing these comments, or at least the comments from him, it's honestly really happy. It's really happy to see. It really does feel like it's going to be better than what I think it's going to be. I was just thinking a 5 out of 10 game, but maybe it might be a 7 out of 10 game. I don't know. It might be getting too little, like, wild here, but I don't know. I'm very impressed to hear this type of stuff. And again, I don't feel like Faviano would be just glazing the game, putting his credibility and reputation on the line for this game. He didn't do this with Ignition, so like, I feel like, he's putting his brass taxes on the table here to prove that, to show that he's, what he's saying here is honest. And he's one of those people and content creators that I feel like is a credible source for fair assessment and opinions and such. And Iceberg kind of got the same sentiment from that. So, like I was saying, you got two spectrums of the more hardcore aspect and the more simcade or casual player. So you got two different player types kind of agreeing that this is good. This isn't like a Ignition thing where they're saying that they want an adult and a 3-year-old to have the same level of enjoyment, and they want like a 3-year-old to understand an off-caster setup and why that's like a thing. That was so ridiculous and absurd. And also, this game has a mirror, and apparently, let me look at my video here. Yeah, Elite Precision's comment here. Disco Inferno was live streaming last night. Matt Lewis, one of the developers at NASCAR 25. I think that's the one that replied to my comment. I don't really know. But he was in Disco Inferno's chat, and he has confirmed that stat tracking will be in the game. So that's hot. I don't know. I might have to take this robe off. It's getting a little hot in here. I don't know if I can handle that. I love to hear that. That makes me very hype. I should have put on more deodorant because I don't know if my regular amount is going to cover the amount of freaking sweat I'm having just hearing that. I got to freaking calm down here. Had to unbutton my shirt a little bit. I can't. I got to calm down. But yeah, stat tracking is going to be in the game. I don't know now how deep they will go remains to be unknown. They'll take something that's on their level of Thunder 4, and hopefully they expand on in the future. Would love if you can track things like pass efficiency and defense rating. Yeah, I've heard that is a thing. There's a lot of stat tracking stuff on Twitter that I've seen that they do in real life or people have done. I don't know if they're going to go that in depth, but that the fact that there is stat tracking, I mean, as long as it has sort of the basics of like wins, top fives, top tens, you know, like your starts, pulls, average start and finish, points finish. I feel like those are kind of the basics. So I don't know. But the fact that that's in there of any capacity is great because freaking Heat Evolution couldn't be bothered. And when Heat 2 was coming out, it wasn't originally going to be a thing until me and Disco Inferno literally had to go, you know, rage into the camera about it. And then they did it. So thanks to me and Disco Inferno, we worked together to get Heat 2 stats. Because that was going to be absurd if we're going to go into year 2 without stats. So I remember that. But that's really good to hear. So honestly, all around the board, it just sounds like this is going to be a good game. Or at least better than what I honestly thought. So I'm really, really excited to hear that. And I just want to make this video just because more people are coming out and talking about it. And we're not just getting, you know, the developers saying that. We're getting people to get kind of like an early access to play the game, like Iceberg and Jeff Faviano. So there's honestly a lot of hope. Yeah, honestly, I think at this point their biggest blunder, I think it's just in their it's really not their biggest blunder. It's just the Bristol video. Especially the game's gonna run smooth and be 60 frames. Then I don't know why on earth the Bristol footage they showed was like choppy. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. And even in their dev diary before that, it was kind of weirdly choppy. So yeah, it's one of those things I understood people were concerned about it. I don't think people need to go freaking nuclear about it, but it was a reasonable concern. But seeing the latest dev diary didn't have any of that issues. People were saying that they're, you know, it's running 60 frames. So I don't think that's really going to be a concern. So I'm really looking forward to it, honestly. And honestly, to see the people in my comments being so happy to see me back is really comforting. I was not expecting that. I was especially, that's like the most amount of views I got in a video in like 9 months since like last November. So it's been a long time. So that's wild to think. So not only from just the casual player perspective, this may be like just something that is really nice. Maybe just nice to have something back on the channel. And with that, I could probably at least cut at least one more work day out so I can dedicate a little more to this and work, so I got like half and half. That would be kind of cool because I feel like this could be fun. Like for the first time, like I was saying in the other video, since Heat 4, and I mean I'm not as excited as compared to Heat 4 because Heat 4 had a lot of insider knowledge prior to that game coming out that made me really hype. It's not on that level, but it's on that tier. So I'm really looking forward to this. It sounds pretty exciting. I don't know. My socks are ready to come off. I'll tell you that much. Like if it's, I was thinking like, if this game's gonna knock my socks off, it better knock them out good, and maybe it will. Maybe it'll prove me wrong. So I'm all here to have my words be eaten, because I was not super hyped for this game for a long time. I just didn't care. But the more I keep hearing about it, the more I hear people talking about it, it sounds really good. So I'll stop with the yapping. This went on longer than it probably should have been. Too much gushing, but oh yeah, just one more thing. Elite Precision made some comments. Did you get a chance to see how in depth they went with the stack tracking in career mode? Elite Precision is just like me. I have farmed the next generation to care about stats, and that's really damn wholesome. I think I got one comment saying, "Why do you care about stats?" But it's like, do you want to know what your progress was in your career? How many starts you ran? The amount of wins? Would you like to know how many wins you had in your career? How many top 5s or top 10s? Wouldn't that be nice? Even your average, like your points finishes through year to year. God forbid if you want to do a career with like multiple seasons, don't you want to look back on your career and be like, huh, so this is how bad I was in year 1, and then year 2 was a little better, year 3 was a little better, or maybe there's a year where you weren't as good. It's fun to look back on that. I don't like that should be important. That should be one of the most easiest basic things to have. I mean, Jesus Christ, GTA has like stat tracks for like how many people you run over, like the most randomest stuff that you may not even think that would be important. They freaking did. So in a sports game in general, that is so important to have. He also said his dirty air represented in the game. Fair enough point. I'm curious to see how realistic it is. If it's like if it's realistic, then the Cup Series is going to be so bad at the short tracks. I just find that funny. Are any of the standalone events in the game like Elmo, Salem, Toledo, and etc.? Yeah, from what I heard, I don't think you can run like Xfinity cars at like North Wilkesboro or anything. I think ARCA running at Cup specific tracks is only an ARCA thing, and the other series are just tied to the tracks they run in real life, from what I've heard. So I think my hype of that isn't was a bit misguided, but I didn't really know at the time, so I wanted to correct myself on that. Anyways, that's truly it. This is the actual end, but yeah, I just want to throw that in. So see you all in another video, and take care.